What's up, bosses? Welcome to About Her Business, the podcast where we leave all the gossip at the door and get straight down to business. I'm your host, Jonte, and today we have the founder of Athena Coffee Roasters, LLC, Miss Laura Scales. Now, Miss Scales has taken the coffee industry by storm in just a short time, expanding to multiple shops, grocery stores, and even cafes. She's now looking to open up her own in the beautiful city of St. Louis, and she's here today to help us pour something on what she means business. So, ladies, grab those cups and those notepads, and let's get down to it. The meeting is now in session. Welcome, Miss Scales.
Thank you so much, Jonte. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here, Miss Scales. Are you ready to get into it?
I am.
Perfect. So let's go back all the way to the beginning. Your career originally started in marketing. What did that really look like? And what were you craving that corporate America wasn't giving you at the time?
So I started in marketing and PR for really big corporations, from healthcare to the financial sector and pharmaceuticals, just anything and everything. And I initially enjoyed the work because starting out it's something new and there's so much to learn, but corporate life just was not my calling, and it seemed like it didn't matter where I went to work, there was just a void. I worked with great people, I worked for great organizations, but I craved more and I really wanted something to call my own.
Absolutely. And those are huge industries. I mean, from pharmaceuticals, that is huge. Like, I couldn't even imagine what marketing would look like in that industry, let alone working in that industry. So, thank you for opening our eyes to your background, because you've worked in really, 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 really great places. Now, again, you said that corporate America wasn't for you. I've have that same experience of working in, government agencies and realizing that that 9 to 5 just wasn't for me. And we've talked a little bit personally about motherhood and COVID being that pivotal turning point for you. What was shifting mentally for you in that season that pushed you towards building something of your own?
That's a great question. After the birth of my second child, I made the decision to not return to my corporate job. I wanted more time with my kids. Having my second made me realize just how quickly time goes. Holding a newborn compared to a toddler at that point. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's my oldest is still supposed to be this tiny little baby. And so just having that second made me realize how quickly time goes. And my priority was to be the best mom I could be and the most present mom that I could be. So in 2019, I made the decision to step away from a full-time corporate job and reestablish myself in freelancing opportunities. And then COVID hit. And something I had always dreamed about was starting a coffee brand. And so I thought, what better time than now? I stayed at home with the kids and I was, full-time mom during the day. And when my husband got home, I would start roasting and I would roast at night, and taught myself and expanded from there.
Wow, and you hit on a great point, especially for us women. Motherhood changes everything for us. And then, COVID hit, and me being a first time mother, literally giving birth 2 weeks before the entire world shut down. That was life changing as well. So I definitely identify with that. All I knew is I wanted to be home with my baby and be as protective of her as I possibly could at the time. So I ended up starting a social media agency. So a lot of women, you guys, motherhood, it definitely changes your whole entire outlook on life. Now let's get into coffee, because I call myself a coffee connoisseur. So this is a very exciting conversation for me today, you guys. So again, you've started a coffee roasting business in your garage at that. What gave you the confidence it took to take that leap without taking the traditional roadmap?
I'm the type of person that once I get an idea in my head, I just have to do it. There's no obstacle too great for me to accomplish something. Once I have a clear vision, I'm going to do it. Right or wrong, it's going to happen. But I also have a great life partner who said, absolutely, and he helped me convert the space. He understands the mechanics of, getting a space outfitted. And he worked actually with the CEO of the company that I purchased the roaster from to get our space, completely to get it outfitted the way that it would need to be to protect the roaster and the house. Yeah.
Yep.
So those two things, it's having the right mindset and, the support to encourage you to pursue what you want to do.
Absolutely. And you hit on two great aspects, which is first, you made up your own mind that this was something that you wanted to do, and having that supportive partner or a supportive friend or even an investor to invest into your business, that comes with that alignment of literally knowing self. And you knew yourself in that moment and you believed in yourself. Now, again, y'all, coffee is one of those things that I love to talk about. So let's talk about roasting for a minute. What did those early days of roasting look like, and how did you learn how to roast?
I was terrified. I was convinced that I was going to somehow mess it up and burn the house down. So, because, I went through all the safety stuff, really understanding the good, the bad, and the ugly. And ooh, did that take me to, some fearful places. But no better way to learn than trial and error. Originally, I had wanted to go to an on-site training, but because of COVID, everything got canceled, and I didn't want to delay my plans any longer. So I just rolled up my sleeves and got in there, and man, I had a blast in those early days. I felt like a mad scientist. I ordered, I don't know how many green coffee beans from everywhere I could find, just trying to understand the differences, how they roasted, how they cupped once they roasted, what my personal preferences were, and how I wanted to translate that into a brand.
Absolutely. And Ms. Scales, you just literally went through a process of explaining to our audience that it is kind of like a scientific experiment when you're doing any type of food or beverage, and even makeup, and other different industries, where you literally do test different products to find that perfect product in order to get to your customers. So thank you for going into details of literally how you went through that process, because I think a lot of people think it's just buying coffee and thinking that, this is going to sell, when in reality, there are different tastes out there, and some coffees are stronger, some coffees are lighter. A very great thing about Miss Scales is she only purchases any type of her sources that she used for her coffees from women.
Yeah.
So, how did you build those relationships? And what did that process teach you about the global coffee industry?
That's a great question. Yeah, so starting out, I said, there's so many coffee brands, right? What is going to set me apart? That's the marketer in me, what's my differentiator? And I always prioritize purchasing from women, especially women in my community anyway. That's just a natural drive for me. And of course, when I was thinking about the brand, I wanted it to put women on a pedestal and put them front and center and be a part of the conversation. And you don't see too many, first of all, women-owned brands in the coffee industry. And I thought, okay, how am I going to build a brand called Athena with lens named after Greek goddesses and not platform women in the coffee industry? So that it wasn't even necessarily a choice, it was a priority. It was something I had to do. So I found some importers, some coffee importers that were close to me that were also smaller. And I reached out to them and had lots of conversations with several importers, explaining who I was, what I was doing, and what I was prioritizing. And they really showed out for me. So it was a great network early on, and they were really excited to work with me and to see this particular brand grow, in a male dominated industry.
Absolutely. And again, that's huge because a lot of people don't realize in entrepreneurship collaboration clearly take your business from, not having any employees to a multi-global brand. So that's a great aspect. How did that process work with your partner? So were you just purchasing the beans and they were sending them to you and you were able to put your own name on the brand? How did that work?
So you have to purchase green beans. So they're grown on the farm, they're packaged, and then they have to be imported into the US. And so I don't have those documents, I don't have those certifications. So I work with importers who have their own coffee importing businesses and work with them to bring in coffee from the women producers.
Absolutely. And again, Ms. Scales, thank you for going into those details because for anybody out there that's looking to get into this industry, I know somebody was out there wondering exactly how that process works. Now, you did just mention certifications, and this is probably one of the biggest certifications that you need in the food and beverage industry. You are FDA certified. What did that process look like behind the scenes, and what should other product-based founders be prepared for in that process?
Man, that was a big step because there's whether you are a food manufacturer on the micro scale like I was, or all the way up to a huge production, you have to go through the same thing. That meant writing a recall plan, writing all of these food handling safety instructions, getting everything registered, like getting all the barcodes registered. And it was lots of paperwork, inspections, but again, I worked with great people. Even at the government level, they wanted to see this succeed. And I don't think that's particular to this business. I think most people have good intention. And if you are honest and you're doing the best you can and you're asking good questions, they want to work with you and they want to set you up for success. And I just, really, I think throughout the process, I've been blessed with really good people who have partnered with me, explained things to me, and helped me achieve that next level I've been wanting to reach.
Absolutely. And again, you just told our audience it is an extensive process, especially for businesses out there, because being a former fast food manager, reading all those guidelines and making sure you're still following those codes when the big managers come in and things like that. So just being on the manager side of working for the establishment, you have that kind of understanding of this is not just the one piece of paper you got to turn in, to whoever it is in your state. But again, that literally is huge because that's not easy, y'all, at all for any food or beverage business out there. I'm telling you that right now.
It is a scary step for sure, but so worth it if that's what you're wanting to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. At what point did you realize that this wasn't just a passion project, but an actual scalable business?
I started out with the intention that this would eventually become what it is today. I just didn't have a timeline in mind. So I think by not having a timeline necessarily in mind, it took some of the pressure off of me so that I could still always have fun in my business and approach each new opportunity with curiosity and just allow myself to have that freedom to take that chance, take that risk, and move into that next step. People in the roasting side, small business owners started coming to me asking if I could do wholesale orders. And at that point, I had not gone through the FDA, food manufacturing certification. And I said, well, give me a moment. And we figured things out and we got there and it was great. And I think that's it. I think it's having a yes and attitude and just allowing myself to make mistakes and say, "Oh, well, I'm going to rebrand that mistake as a learning opportunity and we're going to go from there."
I love that. And let's get right into it. Let's talk distribution because you're in coffee cafes, stores, I mean, from grocery stores to small shops. How did you go from that home setup to getting your product into these places?
Boots on the ground. But starting out, I sold at farmers markets. And at a lot of those farmers markets were small business owners who were already in the food space. So maybe they owned their own grocery store, or they were a manager at a restaurant, or they were daydreaming about starting their own coffee shop. I really was just able to connect with the right base by being at the farmers markets and special pop-up events that I thought would also attract those people that I was looking to network with.
Right. Wow. And, a lot of people don't think that going to their local farmers market or attending those local pop-up shops can, put money in their pockets. But I'm telling you right now, I've seen small businesses in my areas attend those local farmer markets and those pop-up shops. And now they have actual restaurants and stores and things like that just from, getting out and networking with the people in the community. So thank you for highlighting that, Miss Scales, because a lot of people look down on those events.
Yeah.
Now, since we're talking about money, what revenue streams have been the most impactful for you for your business so far? And how have you been able to diversify within the coffee space?
So, when it comes to coffee roasting, having wholesale orders, those orders give you a very dependable revenue stream. You can make more selling a bag of coffee directly to the customer. However, that's on a whim. They just run out of coffee, and they place an order on your website, or you're at a pop-up event, they've never heard of you, but they're a coffee lover, so they're going to buy one. You have to work really hard to sell that one bag of coffee. Whereas with wholesale distribution, you're making less per bag, but you have dependable revenue. You know that shop on average is going to be restocking 50 bags every 2 weeks, or that cafe is going to be ordering 60 pounds for their shop each week. So honestly, I think landing those wholesale accounts really sets you up for financial success so that you can then finance that next step for your business.
Absolutely. And that's a great highlight because we've seen it most popularly in the retail business of wholesaling. So, you guys, there's another stream of income that Miss Scales just revealed to our audience on the food and beverage side as well with wholesaling. It brings in that money and it's consistent, as she said. Now, I want to talk about you opening up your own physical location. That is huge and a different level type of commitment. What originally made you decide now was the right time to expand into that space?
Well, first, your listeners are hearing it first, which is amazing. I love that. I've held on to it because it was aligned with the timing of this interview. So this is the very first public announcement. Yes. So I actually closed on the coffee shop, an existing coffee shop, a couple weeks ago. And we've been in a transition period of moving everything over. And I'm currently going through rebranding and all those fun things. But what made me interested? This was something on my roadmap, but not for this time. Kind of like what I referenced earlier. I kind of just set goals or wishes and see how things play out on this timeline. So
Wow, and y'all heard it here first. So we have our first About Her Business podcast exclusive, you guys. So you just heard it here first. She is opening up her first cafe. And you did talk about rebranding. So I want to talk about that for a second. How have you been able to rebrand, especially with the cafe, to, change your mission to center around gender equality?
So, with Athena Coffee Roasters, anytime I'm able to speak about my brand or my approach to coffee in general in this industry, naturally I'm speaking about women producers. A lot of people don't realize that around the world, the coffee workforce is about 70 women. However, I think the latest stat is less than 5% actually own their own farms. So they're out there doing the work, but as we know from labor statistics globally, they're not making the money and they really don't have an ownership stake. So, yeah, so So having a brand that platforms women in coffee really brings these statistics into the conversation. So I'm so thankful for this opportunity to talk about that.
Right. And again, that's horrible. But we as women, we know that's every industry out there. I think the latest stat in America, most women own small businesses in this country. But think about how many women small owned businesses are in your state right now or in your city, and somebody else doesn't even know they're staying next door to you. So it's still that limited exposure out there for women who are still owning businesses. But I had absolutely no idea that that was like that in the coffee industry. That's horrible.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, again, everything we do on About Her Business is purpose driven, and Miss Skills, again, is purpose driven. So let's talk about purpose for a minute. How do you balance profitability with staying true to your mission?
My mission being platforming women.
Hmm.
So from a profitability standpoint, I have to care more about the people I'm partnering with and that I'm serving and less about making the most money with every transaction. And that's hard because we live in a capitalist society. It's what we grew up in. It's what we've been educated in. It's what our work experience is based in. So I think it's a daily struggle. Starting out, was more so of a struggle. And now I double down on, what I preach. But, from the beginning, I have paid fair trade prices for all of my beans. So that's a way to ensure that the women who are producing the beans are getting a fair market rate and not being taken advantage of in the sale.
I love that. And again, you hit on a great aspect of opening those doors for other women,
Yeah.
especially when, we're breaking doors and breaking down those barriers for ourselves. It's very important to help those women who may not be in those situations. So again, Ms. Scales, thank you for literally how you've decided to brand your business, because a lot of people would have just went with what was popular and not with what was right.
Right. Yeah.
So I do want to get some advice for you, for our women out there who are listening and may feel stuck between stability and starting something of their own.
Yeah.
What's the real unfiltered advice you would give them?
Take up space, be loud. And we're women in this society. There are going to be people who try to make us doubt ourselves, who try to silence our voices, who try to tell us there are 1,000 other competitors doing the same thing, doing it better, whatever. Who cares, and I think to be a woman who owns a small business, you have to get very comfortable with being just fine with other people being uncomfortable simply because you exist.
Well, I love how you put that, because as women, we don't want to take up space. We want to blend in and fit in and things like that. Y'all don't be scared. Don't be
Yeah.
scared to step out there and be yourself, because I'm telling you, the moment that you get out there and you're willing to take up space, you going to literally find your community. Because, when I originally started my podcast, it was one of those things of there's millions of other podcasts who are out here interviewing women entrepreneurs. But I'm telling y'all, once you literally take that step, you'll find your people. And it has been nothing but love. I've had those same women come on my podcast. I've been on their podcast. So don't be scared to take up space, because I'm telling you, you're going to find your community out there.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, Miss Gales, I want to ask you, because looking ahead, this is huge for you. You're starting your cafe and you're expanding your product. What are you looking at right now as far as your brand?
So Athena Coffee Roasters will still continue to exist as it does right now. It's so important to me. It's my baby. It's the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. The cafe that I've purchased is still operational. It's still up and going. So we're rebranding that to be more in line with Athena Coffee Roasters. And really, I am doubling down on the community efforts of that cafe. I want it to be a community hub for the neighborhood that it serves and for the people who have fallen in love with it over the years. It's got a great staff that is just as passionate about its community as I am. So I'm really excited to see what we're able to accomplish over the next several years.
Absolutely. And here's another little quick follow-up for you. Let our audience know, will they be able to still come in the cafe and purchase the coffee, or are you going to just be specifically selling your coffee at the cafe? How is that going to be set up?
Yes, so the current name of the cafe is Piper's Tea and Coffee. The name itself has a really great following, just the name Piper's. So what I'm doing is a slight rebrand, Piper's by Athena, and we are putting my coffee into it, but the former owners did a great job with their tea offerings, and they make their own tea blends and such. And so we're still carrying those. People come in from all over for the tea offerings. I said, great, let's keep it. It's wonderful. And we're putting my coffee into it. So it's a blend of these two brands. And I think it's a great way to honor the owners who started this, whose whole vision is the whole reason why it's here.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great idea. And so for my people who are out there who do not drink coffee, that don't mean you still can't go and visit, because they sell tea as well. So there you go. Now, sadly, we've come to the end of today's episode, and we always leave with a legacy, Miss Scales. And I give you a couple of minutes to think about this. When it's all said and done, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Going back to motherhood, I want to always show my kids that they can be and do whatever they want to do. That oftentimes your own worst enemy is coming from within. And if you can silence that voice and maybe even do it rebelliously at times if you need to, then you can do it. You can live whatever life you want to. You can lead it however you want to. And I think that's been one of the biggest motivators for me, is to just show my kids that anything is possible. And I think that that's a proof point to my inner child as well.
Absolutely. And I'm telling y'all, motherhood, it would change y'all life. And sadly, today's episode has come to an end. But before we go, we want to make sure we get all Miss Scales' information. Let us know where we can find the coffee. Let us know where we can find the cafe, the hours. Let us know all the details.
Thank you. Athena Coffee Roasters, really easy. Online, athenacoffeeroasters.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. And then the coffee shop is Piper's Tea and Coffee, about to be rebranded Piper's by Athena, located in St. Louis at 37 South Kings Highway Boulevard. Open 7 days a week from 7 to 7.
Awesome. And I will be leaving all that information down in the description box below. Any last words before we adjourn today's meeting, Miss Scales?
No, thank you so much. This was wonderful, and I love what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I got to head over to that website and purchase my coffee. And with that, ladies, today's meeting is now adjourned. Thanks again to Miss Laura Scales and Athena Coffee Roasters, LLC, for coming on and offering all her insights. And you be sure to subscribe to About Her Business so you never miss whenever we upload. Also, leave me some comments down in that comment section on which industry you think I should interview next. Until next time, keep those goals tight, that circle tighter, and that bank account growing.